All right, what's going on, everybody? It's the Fishhook Trader here, James Nash. We're going to go over some support and resistance, just some basics, really. We're looking at Shopify here. I'm using the Webull app. I'll put the link for you to sign up and get you some free stocks in the description. So basically, we want to go and look from a longer time frame, because the longer the time frame shows the bigger move overall, so you can see where the real trend of the stock is. And we're looking at Shopify. The last closing price was $643.19, up 3%. Currently I have the exponential moving averages on the chart. We're going to put this, there's your regular moving averages. So when you go and the stock hasn't been around for a very long time, it's hard for the long-term moving averages to really establish themselves. So as you see way back here, you're looking at 2015, May 2015 is as far back as this goes on Shopify. Sorry about that. Let's see, are we still recording? Yep. Here we go. So once once you're on your time frame, so you get to the longest time frame, all right, and what you want to do is look for an area of candles that are kind of grouped together, right? So as you can see, we will go here. We want to get a trend line, all right, and this is where you can do this, and you can draw it to angles. Now you can set it, I believe, to where it goes to each closing price, or you can just move the candle where, not the candle, the line where you want it to. So it's going from the low all the way to this next high. So I'll move this out of the way, and that's not really a trend line, that's just a line. Now if I want to draw support and resistance myself, I will look where there is obvious collections. Okay, so here is a nice collection. And I don't want to actually stay down here on these tails, because even though it did push to that level, the prices you really want to watch, even though this could be, looks like about a $25, $35 window there. You can choose to do this, so like maybe right there at those 3 points. And these candles right where the little blue square is, that's where I'm lining it up at, right? So we're going to push a little higher. We'll say 124, okay? And then I'll get that one out of the way. Let's add another one. All right, I'm thinking this area is pretty strong here. Let's see, so 1, 2, 3, 4 push down. Or we can drop a little lower. We can take this area or even this area. This one actually looks better to me, because you have more candles touching there as well. So you can change the colors with your arrows. You can go in, and if you click back on it, you can go here and you can actually change the thickness. You can make it real thin. All right, or so we'll make it kind of thin. You can change it to dashed, with an arrow, without the arrow, whatever you want to do. I like the arrow because it points directly to the price, and it makes it much easier to actually do this as a whole. So let's get that back out of the way. Go back to our trend line. We're going to make this yellow also. So we'll go from here, and I don't like it touching. All right, so there we go. Why? So we look at the bottom of this other candle here, the one right next to the that bullish engulfing candle right next to the red candle I started. I'm trying to get just on that bottom corner. All right, there we go. So this is potentially 302 is a very strong support for Shopify. Okay, so in the event that something happens and the market pulls way back or anything like that, then in my opinion, the low area where Shopify would go before it gets just hugely bought up would again be $300, right around that range. I believe 280 took place as well. You have all these different settings. You can add text. You can go in here, put a box, say buy signal at resistance Okay, all right, and there you go. And I can put it anywhere I want to, you know, and I can probably shrink that as well. Let's see. Oh, what did I do with it? I lost it. Anyway, but yeah, you can add notes and stuff like that. And then let's see. So now that we made some basic lines on our long-term chart, now we can go back further over here. I mean, we can clearly throw one over here at around 18 because that was like a huge running. So 18 to 20 looks like a huge support. But will Shopify ever touch that again? Probably not. 654 currently Shop is at. Looks like it's going to be testing 700 sometime in the future here. So we're going to go ahead and look at the weekly. All right, now take note of where all of these lines actually ended up. It stayed right around 300, and as you can see, you actually have more candles appearing to drop on that white 302 line, right? So now what we're going to do is expand this a little more. Should we add any more lines here? We could, but let's hold off for a minute. You can clearly see a W. If you look down here at the RSI, I'm changing it to volume. There's your on balance volume, which is way up. Volume is just skyrocketing. Okay, the MACD is showing a huge bullish cross up here on the end. And there you have a beautiful W pattern on this RSI, right? But it is technically showing overbought on the weekly chart currently, but that could just be pushing new ranges. So we're going to ignore that. But let's step down to the daily chart. Okay, so now we clearly see that 300 was that beautiful support area. If you look over here where the price shows 282, you can see a huge double bottom, which again is the W pattern, right? And what you're looking at there is a huge bullish obligation to the upside, which you clearly see. And we expand that a little more, you have another bullish signal there, and you can clearly see that that 8 moving average literally makes a W and bounces off the 200 support. 390 support, I'm sorry, the 200 EMA support is what I meant to say. Should you use EMAs as support and resistance? You can. It's not a huge benefit on the low like EMAs or moving averages, but what you can do is use them the longer term, like the 200 or the 100 or 50 or something with a fairly long term. Sure, you could probably use that as support resistance. So we're kind of salted up right here. Now, the interesting thing is my Bollinger Band on the third deviation is literally sitting, the green line on the bottom, the lower band is literally sitting on my angle line at 2 points. I'm going to screenshot this and you'll see it. So here, let me go ahead and edit that. So here and here, I think that's very interesting that it literally pushes off of those areas. So there is another chance that we could continue up. Okay, so bullish signals on Bollinger Bands. For me, I'm looking at the upper high, okay, beautiful 708. So again, 700 clearly could be easily taken up. All right, and you have this facing upward, this facing upward on this other band. I'm about to sneeze, excuse me. Sorry about that. And this lower band down here, you can actually see, let me take all these away. All right, so the lower band, you can actually see where it's facing down. So this is actually facing down, and these are facing up. Every time I watch the Bollinger Bands do this, there is always either a short burst upward even farther, which we're going to see most likely. It looks like the high on Shop was 665, so we're going to close this little screenshot. Matter of fact, let me just notate this here. Yeah, so you can clearly see. Yes, you can clearly see that big spot right there on Shop 665.74, and that candle. You see how it pushed on that third Bollinger Band? If you look back right here, you can see another candle that pushed up and out, and it immediately got rejected back in. Okay, and that's where we saw the huge drop on Shop right there. And what you can look at is that this candle here at 665 did not actually go outside of the band. It pushed against the band, which leads potential for another bullish move up. okay? So we need to make sure that we pay attention to that. That does not always happen, but oftentimes it does. So just pay attention. Don't trade blindly. Don't assume. But you can clearly see where this last earnings here, that candle pushed very hard up against that third Bollinger Band and third deviation, and clearly pushed way back down real hard. And that wasn't even in the market sell-off. That was the market sell-off was like right here, which it pretty much took that area. So from February, so February, that's when Corona first started really picking up. Oils already got destroyed, so it pushed it on down. Buyers stepped back in at the 420 area and then pushed it back up to 500s, but then again it was rejected hard and pushed back down right there again to the 300 area, as we said. But you clearly, I know you guys can see this, it is a clear bear flag, okay? But also you can clearly see the W, and some people would try to say that this is a cup and handle, so it should do this. But in my opinion, this is not a cup and handle. It is clearly a double bottom. Let me do that a little neater. Double bottom, okay? And then you had your areas of resistance all kind of built about the same, like right here. Okay, this one didn't quite reach, but that's okay. So it stayed in that channel, and as soon as it pushed back against this again, that same platformed area, if you want to call it that, it clearly broke out. And once it did, it gapped up and gapped up hard. And that's where we're sitting at now. And again, each of these candles represents one whole day. Okay, so let's back out of this again. All right, so this is Shopify. So now what could we do to continue to build support resistance lines? Okay, so you already see I have my long-term stuff here. All right, well, let me go over here to volume weighted moving average, which you cannot see on a longer term chart most of the time. 5 minutes, you can clearly see it's above VMA. That's this orange line here. Got a huge gap up right here overnight. So this was the weekend, closed at 646, and now it is at 658 high, 655 chilling. That is a fabulous thing. And you can see how Webull shows you the buy and sell. So you can click that, put your password in, and do that. Now we're 659, so Shop is clearly pushing. All right. But as you also see on the 5 minute chart, it is clearly oversold. I'm sorry, overbought, not oversold. Those terms are often confused with each other. So let's see. Pivot lines you can add in. Now you want to go to, let's say, an hour chart here. Now you see all this. This is why I don't use pivot lines, because even though they can respectfully show you a short term here, like, dude, this is so confusing. Why would you want to look at this? Like support 1, resistance 2. Like, come on, man. And the problem is the line don't even freaking go all the way across. So that's confusing as shit. Excuse my language, confusing as crap. EMAs. Look at the EMAs. This is a 1 hour chart. You can clearly see that every time it peaks to a new high, that 8 EMA curves back down and crosses back over the 24. All right, so that's not a big deal, but we saw that 665, and I actually called this out in the chat. This one right here, I called this out on this day, that watch for Shop to make a big move, and it was potentially bearish because I noticed that it was already pushing. Let me get back to my Bollinger Band, and here we go. Yeah, so the 665 on the daily chart, that's where I saw it push. When it hit that earnings on February, it broke out, and then I saw it come over here, made the W, and then again, these are daily, but when I saw this here, it clearly pushed back down. It opened up high, 665, and then ended up closing all the way back at 585. That is a huge drop. Okay, that's almost, that's right at $80 actually. And then now you have these 3 little candles here starting to push up again. Now, being that we're on the day, Okay, so now we're in a tighter time frame. So here's what I would do in this case. If I want to see a little more on my lines, I'm going to make these, let's see, let's go with orange. I want to put one here, because you can see where the candles kind of gap around this area. You see the little blue square in the center, that's where our peak is, so I'm going to leave that kind of there. But this area in general looks like a pretty solid place at 450 at this point. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to pull up one more. We got a clear area here, and it's got 3 touches already there, basically. So we're going to put it like right about there. It's probably a $10 move. Let's see, 605, yeah, about 600 to about 614. So yeah, about $10 move. So we'll leave that about right there, okay? And if you really wanted to try to be technical with it, if you look back over across at that 16, I think 5, what was it, 569? This candle over here, 593, yeah. If you want to look right there, right at about the 600 mark, that candle pretty much pushes against that third band. But now it appears the third band is being tested again, and we are now seeing the resistance was broken, and Tesla just did this the other day as well. See how it's kind of building a support area? So the more you expand this, you can see that it's clearly looking like it's building a little stepping area there. And what we want to see, basically, is, which we will see because it's already at 659 pre-market, but what you want to see is basically this. Okay, you don't want to see this, and if you do, you know that 453 is a support. But I mean, Shop made a $100 move the other day, so it's pretty crazy. But what you also need to look for is for other support resistance areas. Now, it's very difficult to see any extra on here, but that middle band is 461, and you can kind of assume it can kind of do just like that. So you're looking at 500 being pretty much huge support area as well. So basically all of your even numbers, all right, 300, 500, 600, 700 obviously is probably going to be your next huge area move. I would not doubt if Shopify was Amazon pricing in 10 years. That's not trading advice to go buy that or anything. But it definitely has potential for that based on just the general price action alone. But speaking of Tesla, so 659, earnings are on May 6th. This is Shopify. And again, you can just kind of look at this even on an hourly chart and see that it's clearly just trailing upward. All right. So let's go on to Tesla. And again, this is the Webull app. I enjoy this app with my TA ever since I started using it, because I can go all the way down to 1 minute candles here and watch this happen live, right? So here is 737 pre-market. She's up $11 or 1.6%. Tesla jumped again from, I think earnings is going to be very interesting. It's in a few days. I believe what's today, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So Wednesday, earnings is going to take place, and it's going to be either just hugely bullish up. So we can look at some news. They're comparing Tesla to Apple now. Let's see. So, you know, I thought Tesla was going to go up, but it reversed on April 21st. So we're going to say it's bullish at the point. You know, the only problem with Webull is that they have this chat on here where you would think there would be somewhat intelligent people, but I mean, I know there's a lot of newbies on here, but instead of, you know, researching on their own to maybe find out some information about the company, they just ask silly questions or promote other stocks and talk crap to each other. I mean, like, it's crazy. Like this guy, get real, 965 by 1 p.m. Like, no, whoever said that clearly doesn't know what they're talking about. But then again, Tesla has jumped $200 in a matter of a week before, so you can't really not accept that. So anyway, so 1 hour chart, so we can clearly see we got a lot going on here. So 791 was the most recent high. I got a trend line already built in there on the daily. All right, so this is what we're looking at, right? Matter of fact, I need to move this. This is a little off. So let's go about right there. Okay. So if you don't notice what I did, I put it right on the base of that candle. You see where I here at the 350 area right there on the bottom. You can see it's shouldered across. So 350 is clearly a beautiful support for Tesla. You got the dash line up here. That's your all-time high. That is 968, I believe it was. So if I expand this here, you can clearly see. So I got it marked at 974, but I believe it was 968 some change. It's just like a couple bucks off, no big deal. So you can see where we also made this W here. Okay, screenshot. Make this very simple for you guys. Even though it wasn't as beautiful as the other one, but just like Shopify, it's building the support. Okay, so what are we going to see here? We don't really know yet. We're going to have to wait for earnings for that to happen, because there is a huge possibility that we could see a drop back down here to the 640 level and then the 540 level if earnings are bad, or the outlook is poor, which I just really don't know about. I actually do have a bearish position on this right now. I got a couple of debit spreads open for May. So there's no telling what the market's going to do. If the market has this huge negative swing, if the coronavirus is still impacting when businesses are open, because a lot of states are semi-opening up now. So these are things that you really need to watch out for. You don't want to overexpose yourself and then get just shafted when the market just swings dramatically. But this is huge, right? This huge area of support where you can clearly see support. You have that one bigger red candle in the middle that was pushed up by buyers, but then pushed back down. But now you got this kind of consolidation area. And a lot of times, all you have to do is just look a little deeper. All right, so we can see that that's clearly, I got the larger triangle there from the high, from the low, and then it kind of angles across. So in theory, in my head, I can actually project that Tesla would do something like this, okay, and push to about the 850 level. And that's perfectly feasible to me, okay? Or, it could fail this on bad earnings and send it back down to 540. Now, 400s is totally possible again, because just look at the swings here. This was just from the coronavirus, epic from mid-February all the way to March 18, I believe, was like the bottom dollar right here. That hit a lot of stocks really, really hard. So if you can go that low on the same coronavirus news and Tesla has bad earnings, it can easily end up back in this area here. So somewhere between 540 and 440 could easily happen. And then most likely buyers would be like, all right, cool, we got this area. But then again, that's about $300 away from where it's at right now. So maybe not necessarily, probable, so to say. So I know we're talking about support and resistance, but trend lines are very important to me, and that's how I can pinpoint prices so much more accurately over just support and resistance themselves. So let's discard this image. Okay, so now we're back to the live feed here. So let's shrink this down a little bit. First, let's look at RSI, Relative Strength Index, down here on the bottom. So you can see that the W is clearly being made. If we zoom this back out to the other W, it's not really there. It's more just a deep valley, and then buyers just said, screw that, it's oversold, we're buying it. All right, so if we go back over here, we can look at Tesla was oversold from these 320 area for a hot minute, okay? So like right here at 327, I believe that's actually where, this is where I bought a position that I held, and I ended up selling it like here, and then it dropped a bit, and then it just shot up, and it was crazy. But this is the day frame, right? So what people would do is zoom in. Okay, let's go to a smaller time frame. 4 hour always shows some good stuff. And you can just see where buyers and sellers are just having fun back and forth on the 680 to 790 range. It's literally building a small trend on itself. And one of the most important things about the Bollinger Bands, especially on this third deviation, is, okay, so pay attention here. All right, so it already tested this level and pushed up, but continued to consolidate. 80% of the time that I've traded Bollinger Bands on the third deviation on the 50-day moving average, like you see it set on my Webull right now, I have seen on good news and earnings, aside, and just technicals, this happens, or this happens. But we have to be careful because you don't want to exaggerate your pricing and then shoot for this and buy like $1,000 call for 2 weeks. Even though, yes, premiums will improve based on the large price swings that Tesla does, and you could make hundreds or even, thousands of dollars on those positions potentially, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen. Okay, so what you need to do is look for the support and resistance areas in general. So 683 is clearly one. We're at 737 right now, as of my last screenshot, but I'm going to try to pinpoint this a little bit here. So this area, okay, you can clearly see what's happening. Okay, my red line at 683 will already do that. So basically we're looking for that candle, that little green candle right there. We're looking for that to actually break up. Okay, so let's zoom in a little bit, move this over, not too much. Oh, terrible. My battery is 82%, just in case you guys didn't see that. Let's try this again. All right, so here, terrible straight line. Here, terrible again. Oh my goodness. All right, we'll stick with that. So my red line, okay, the red support line that I have right here, that's what we're looking for. And you can clearly see that a W again is being formed. Okay, we already have this little green candle trying to push. Now, if we get a huge candle tomorrow, again, this is a 4-hour chart, so each of these candles represents a 4-hour window. Okay, it's 24 hours in a day, so just keep that in perspective. But this is a very high probability of what could happen. Now, will I keep my short positions against Tesla or not? I mean, my debit spreads are pretty large swings back to the 500s because I don't think the earnings is going to impress everyone like everybody thinks it will. But at the same time, you can see my upper band is pushing on the 4-hour chart to 818. The mid band is 720. And that's where it's literally consolidating right now. And the lower band is 623, which to me on the 4-hour chart is potentially the lowest that it would go. But would make my debit spreads, if it dropped $100, then my debit spreads would easily absorb a nice little profit there. So let's go ahead and close all these out. And I will say that this and this and this means every time I'm doing this, okay, I really enjoy the Bollinger Bands. When this is going on, what's happening is volume is stationary. Wow, that's terrible. I can't see nothing with that. Hold on, stand by. Let's change this to back over here. Okay, yeah, there we go. Okay, get that out of the way. All right, so you got volume literally calming down to create what we call the bottleneck effect on the Bollinger Band, okay? And what we're going to do is look for this to stay in this small range, all right here. And as soon as it pushes up and this band turns, okay, let's change colors real quick so you can follow me. So when this band pushes and turns, that's what's going to happen. As long as this lower band stays like this and then gently turns back down, that to me shows that the averages are moving apart, expecting a bigger move. And if buyers step in like they normally will in an event like this, if they step in here on a burst up, okay, then we're going to see something like this happen, okay? And then it's going to push against this band, and it's going to ride out like that, which potentially could easily put you at your 880 to 900 mark again. So just keep those in mind. Now let's get back to support and resistance. All right, so we'll go here. All right, so this is the 4-hour chart. So we can look right here at this support area. And my red 683 is clearly there. So we'll take another horizontal line because it's the easiest to do this. We'll make it this nice bright green color. Now, why do I not want to put it here at 791? Now, I'm not saying that it can't break this area. I'm just saying, it's not necessarily a huge resistance. It's a single point of resistance. So that means when we break an area more like this at 763, does that not look a little more solid over here at these points of, if you follow my top green line I just placed in, if you follow it, you can clearly see that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 areas that are touching. Okay, matter of fact, I'll screenshot and show you this again. All right, let me get that out of the way. And if you ever want to clear your chart, that's not a problem. You can just click the line and then just trash it. Okay, that cleans it up a little bit. So you can clearly see Tesla is consolidating on the 720 area. Let's pull my Bollinger Bands out. Let's go to the EMAs. EMAs are also consolidating here. Let's check out the moving averages. Same thing. You got a bearish cross though, so this is something you got to watch for. Okay, you have two things happening here on this 4-hour chart, and that's why you got to be careful what time frame you're trading on. This is a bullish move, but this is potentially a bearish move. Okay, it just really depends on how that 8 moving average really swings. Okay, because if the 8 continues to just say, you know what, now we're going back down, then that's exactly what's going to happen, which is going to also turn this band or moving average, rather, the 50 moving average down. But they call it a golden cross when the 50 moves over the 100, or the 50 moves over the 200, or 100 over the 200. And that's exactly what you have here. You have the golden cross. Okay, that's a terrible cross. Let's try that again. Boop. Nope, terrible. Boop. That'll do. All right, we can even make it, a little extra here or whatever. All right, cool. So you have your huge bullish move there, but you also had a resistance. All right, but then you built support. You built support here on 683 area. All right, but now we have a 763 area, which is also a support. So you got, this is what I was trying to show you guys. So let me change this to a little fine point. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pretty much all 3 of these, or all 4 or 5 of these, because they're all pushing against that area. Now, even though the high did not get touched, we can actually, what we can do, matter of fact, is this. We can actually gently pull that back down just a hair. You see how I'm kind of making it my trend line, right? I'm making it look better than what it maybe is. And that's because you can do anything. You could just say, this is a good one because look at all the support areas. But it broke through a couple times, but it pushed back off the 683. Or I could be like, nah, man. Then we got this little gap here now from 730 to 737 with a high of what looks like 740-ish. Or we could keep it tight right here on this resistance, which just got jumped over, over the gap up over the weekend. Okay, so I'm not impressed with that. I don't want that. I want this because this is the area that has caught all the flack. 791 barely got reached over just for those couple of days there on the 4-hour chart. Okay, and if we switch this out, let's see what happens on the daily. So my new line at 757, look at there. We don't really have much going on. None of this really looks good. All right, and my candle here is all jacked up on this. Let me move this. Come here. Point that back down. That's where that needs to be. All right. So you want it to be either touching the tip of it or you want it to be on the body of the candle. Now the 968 was almost a spinning top style doji because it can't be a dragonfly or a tombstone because it's just way too long of wicks. But you have the next shoulder candle that's way up there, which is like 9 something. 944 was the high there. So it stayed at 900 and 944 range on that one candle there. But look at all these gaps that Tesla has, man. This is what makes Tesla a very, very scary, volatile stock for some people, especially trading options for people who are silly enough to trade very short-term options. If you do not know your exact move and you trade a short-term option against Tesla, you're just asking to lose money. But what we're going to do here is zoom this in a little bit. Okay, that's all of our candles on that range. So I'm going to look right here and I'm going to look for the most touches on almost the body of the candle, right? So we have the first two big ones here on the left, okay, the little peaks coming up top. All right, you got the breakthrough that went up to 791. All right, and then you have the two candles, the dojis that came back down. You had the gravestone, and then you had sort of a spinning top style doji there. And then you had the huge bearish engulfing pop up, which stopped on the 8 moving average, but then broke through. Okay, so resistance the next day on this candle right here, pushed back up to 757, could not break it. All right, this one here, 754, couldn't break it. Oh, no, retry, 756. Do you see what I'm saying? So you got 1, 2, these two here, okay, 762, 762. They literally stopped at 762. Came back over here. This one actually pushed up. It opened at 745 and broke right through. And see what happened? When it broke through that resistance at 762, that this one also rejected at 759. So you got 1, 2, 3. Okay, this one broke through, so don't worry about that one. And you got 4, 5, 6, 7, 765, but came back down. 8, and then this one went to 753 and pushed back down, and this one got up to 753 again and pushed back down. So the number there you want to use is pretty much whatever you want to use, because we saw a couple of different highs and lows. But we're going to put it right on the top body of those two first candles, because I think that sort of consolidates the rest of this. I'm going to change this to white. That's going to be my breaking point. So at this point, I know it's kind of sloppy and like kind of crammed here, so you can move things around. You can take away your moving averages. So I can say, you know, what do I want going on here? Let's put settings. So actually, I don't even want that on there. Let's see. Go back and unstar you, get you out of my way. Go back. So right here, boom. Take them off. Now, what do you see? You see, is it a naked chart or is it a more clear chart? Okay. Look at the bigger move. So are we looking to short frame? Well, let's look. Let's go back to a week. Look at this. That's beautiful. All right, so we got these big body candles going on. So this one here does not know what's going on. This one here is a gravestone doji. This is a dragonfly doji, which is a huge bullish symbol, and clearly you got that. You went from a low of 735 somehow all the way back up to 944 the next day. That is just massive, okay? That is a $200 swing from there on the low of the day. They closed at 800. It literally swung $144 back up, okay? Actually, see, gap overnight, it opened from, let's see, it closed at 800, so it opened up $40, and then it went another $100. So that's $140. This one here opened at 673 and went to 967. These moves are insane. Yes, if you rode these options, you could make some stupid good money. Okay, but let's go to the month and see what's going on. Okay, so Tesla's got like a lot going on here, right? So what are we seeing? Okay, so my candles are kind of the way you can't really tell. So what needs to happen for Tesla to continue to just blow up over the years? All right, so screenshot, check this out. So what we're looking for, we got this first area, second area, third area. This is what needs to happen in this last one, okay? Somewhere in that range. Or it's going to use this high, and it's going to be in this range, which it's already doing. It's already swinging like this, okay? And that's what you want to happen. Next thing you know, it's going to be up here somewhere over where my save button is, because we can't even go that high. Now that could take 5 years. It could take 10 years. Look at the amount of time this is. This is 2011 over here. All right, this is around 2015. This is around 2018 to 20. And then now we are here in the beginning of 2020. Well, actually, we're close to the mid of 2020 now. So yeah, so just look at these things, right? So just take your time, right? So I put this first one over here, and I got it at the 350 area. Yes, on the monthly chart, Tesla did do this number, pushed up against 383 and all this, but I feel strongly that this huge support at 350s for that huge candle that sold off here on this monthly chart went all the way from, I mean, just look at this. It opened on the month at 711 and ended at 350, okay? right here. Look at this. And then this next one opened at 504, just dirt, and then rose all the way back to 774. So could we clearly see Tesla blow back up to the 900s? Sure. But I'm not convinced yet that we'll see that. If Tesla has great earnings, it's absolutely possible. So let's do this. Go back to the weekly. Let's look a little further back. But see, even here, this, you can't really get a huge picture on Tesla at this level because it's too far back and the price is too low. Okay, this was the first big W here at 176. It hit that bottom and it just pushed. And when it broke this area right here at the 352 on this first candle break, that bullish motion, these are week to week to week. If you would have just bought here and just bought a $900 call, you would have just done this, and just the money you would have made would be just stupid. Even one contract would have made you $20,000 or $30,000 on a $500 or $700 contract. How do I know that? Why do I say that? That's ludicrous. No, it's not, because I did it. I bought one that was $77 for a 425 call for January. This is February 7th at 968. January 31st, it was at 653 high. Okay, my 425 call was here. It expired on the 17th, this Friday, January 17th. Okay, 425 call. None of those open, high, close, low prices are less than 425. My call was in the money so deep. I looked back at the price on expiration, and it was in fact $29,000 for that one call that I paid $77 for right here on this week of December 13, 2019. Okay, for all of you who say options are a waste or you lose money or whatever, you just don't know what you're doing yet. And I highly advise you, I recommend that you continue to push yourself until you actually succeed with what you're doing. If trading is not for you, then just move on. Don't continue to push yourself into it if you don't want to be in it, because it does take heart, it does take dedication, it does take time. And of course, you need money. You don't need a lot of money like everybody makes you think you do, but you need to be consistent with your trades. Otherwise, you'll be feeding it money, okay? And you don't want that to happen. So again, one thing we need to look for is these beautiful motions of the Bollinger Bands of here, here, and here. And currently this is a completely bullish trend, because not only do you have the Bollinger Band showing this one down, this one up. This is how I called the 425 call for January. All right, and this one here. So what I did was I projected where these candles would go, and I used the median price here as my target. So my target for a few months out, because I trade long expirations like an intelligent option trader, and I was over here in the 900 range. So should I buy a $900 call for a few months from now? Probably. Am I going to? No. Why? Because it costs too much. I'm not going to spend $5,000 on one contract when I can buy a debit spread, open a debit spread that can spread me $1,000 to $5,000 or even $10,000 for a few $100, maybe $500, you know. And those things are completely possible. You just need to learn to trade. You need to understand what you're doing, okay? All right, and another sign we have here, we have this nice on the volume, on the MACD. We have another crossover. You had the bearish cross, okay, that took place, went down, all right? But now you have a bullish cross. So as long as this continues to push up, you're good. That's a clear bullish motion. Now what we need to confirm on this weekly Tesla chart is that when this ends, this needs to be green, okay? We need to see some green candles start to push here on this volume, all right? So that way the MACD can confirm that the trend is actually reversing upward, okay? So these things are very important. But support and resistance, you can see all my support resistance numbers are in these areas where I put them. 350, 435, 540, 683, 756, okay? Look at these candles on this huge weekly chart. Each candle represents a whole week of trading. So these marks are very important, because now when we shrink down to a day, oh, look at that. You have a trend right here at the 756 to 683. You had a trend back here on the earnings area. Okay, if you look at the 539 white line here, you can see where it was supporting, and then it pushed up. It resisted ever so slightly at the 670 area, and then it bursted up all the way to 968. Okay, so now we had the same thing occur. We had a support area, here on this white line again, right there, and it supported, pushed down, it's topped on the 640 area of the mid-Bollinger Band, and pushed back up, again resisting at the 760, 770 area. That actually was about 800, looks like, right here. Yeah, open 805, and then went back down to 716. Okay, so then it pushed back down. Okay, so you got to pay attention to these things, because now you had the next candle push back up 766, 745, and just broke away. And when it broke this right here, when this gravestone doji was a huge representative of a bearish motion, because this was on March 9th. This was when everything was going crazy and sour with coronavirus. The next candle, look at that huge motion. It didn't really go anywhere. And the next day did the same thing. That consolidation showed you a clear sign of bears winning, and it gapped down huge. It closed at 634 and it opened at 580. That's a $54 drop overnight. Okay, and that's when this stuff happens. You can't prepare for that. That's why long expirations are so important, because guess what? You were losing here. Look, this is the whole month of March. You're just dying. Your contract lost so much money here, it wasn't even worth anything. So if you had that money here and you didn't already lose it, you could have sold the position, say here, worst case scenario, you already lost a bunch of money, but say your expiration was over here somewhere for April 24th, you could have bought more contracts here at the 350s, even back for what you had up here. Okay, but 683, so this is going to be a very interesting thing, because we know that the price is currently higher than that. So let's go to this 4 hours so we can see the chart. All right, look at this beautiful area, 683 to 756-ish, and of course 791 was your tip top there. But I'm looking for a beautiful area of consolidation, and it's going to happen right here. The current price is at 740. Tesla is clearly consolidating in this range. All right, so let's zoom back out. All right, I need to close this out. So let's zoom back out. Let's get a little better look at this. Tell me where you see this trend, this pattern is beautiful. All right, I'm doing this so I can show you guys. This is crazy. Look at this. Look at this beautiful motion right here. Dun dun dun. And guess what's gonna happen? It's gonna test this again. So okay, well, you keep saying it's gonna test it. It's gonna do this, and that area is so important. Blah 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 blah. Well, we know it broke up to 791, so that's a nice, beautiful move. Okay, so what I will probably do myself, not trading advice, when this stock price opens at 750 tomorrow, or 740, or whatever it's going to decide to open at, as long as it doesn't gap back down, okay, I will more than likely buy a debit spread for, let's see, when's Friday? Today is Monday, so Tuesday, Wednesday. Okay, so probably over here on the 29, let's see, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, so 5-1. Yeah, so I will more than likely go way out here. Let me go to the 4 hours so I can get some more days in there. Yeah, I'm probably going to go for the May 15 to probably June 19 contracts. All right, and I'm going to shoot for probably like 880 to 990, okay? All right, if I buy a debit spread for $50 or $100 or even $200 with a spread for $1,000 or $1,500, and Tesla makes a $150 swing, I am practically guaranteeing myself no less than a 65% return on my trade, okay? Because I know how the debit spreads work, and I know how I play them, and I know that it works in my process. Do not gamble earnings. I tested this on Netflix very recently with a debit spread. Netflix shafted me a little bit, but I had a huge opportunity to take a sweet profit before the close, before they did the earnings, and I missed it because I got sidetracked, and then of course the market closed. So I look at my blue trend line here, and I can clearly see, here's the earnings, okay? They did great, right? The earnings per share was 157, estimated was 165. They did fine. The surprise is negative 4%, so the price dropped, okay? Revenue, $5.77 billion. Jeez, that's so much money, okay? But when I saw this peak here at 447 on 421, I could have sold right before the close here on that day, all right? And what happened was, when it closed at 433, that's where I have my position. And the very next day, guess what she did? She gapped down all the way to, where we go? 413, and it recovered a little bit, so it closed around the 425 or 421, I think. Yeah, 421, sorry, it's right there. But I sold, I lost $200 on the trade, no big deal. I easily actually made it back selling covered calls literally the same day. And now I see this over here, but this is a huge doji indecisive candle right here. Like, what is this candle even doing? It's barely there. But you know what it is? It's a bullish candle. It is a dragonfly. That is a dragonfly. Now, it's not always correct, but it is a possibility that this is happening right here. Okay, we can see this body, we can see the tails. So we can say that this area, 414, is a nice support, okay? And what we're looking for is a break of 450s, okay? So we'll go 449, that's our tip, so 450. So we're looking for this little area here to basically trap the price, and I want to see where it goes, all right? If it chooses to break anywhere outside of this box, if it goes up, I'm going to be bullish until it touches this line. That is when I know that I have the trade in my hands. Or it's going to break this way very slowly in this range, which is very possible because people are very unexpecting on Netflix. They don't really know. It's at 425 pre-market. Or it's going to push down below 414 and break down below the blue trend line as well. And I say X marks the spot, because if it does do that, I am going to be bearish until this range. The 380 to 370 range is my motion. So I will absolutely buy a put debit spread against Netflix for likely 400 to 390 or 400 to 380 or something like that, okay? And that is just how you play the game. This is all learning. It's all practicing. It takes time, it takes a little bit of money, it takes dedication, it takes focus. Just don't give up. If this is something that you like, do it. I love trading. I really love trading. I really do. I got a lot of shares of this, so I'm really looking to see, basically, am I going to get a huge opportunity to get shafted, or am I going to buy a ton of shares if it decides to go back down to this mega low price of 85 cents? If it goes to 85 cents, I'll probably buy 5,000 shares and then wait for it to go back to a few dollars and then quadruple my money. Because this is a travel company. They have ties with, let's see. Yeah, see, like, you got stupid stuff like this. Let's just see what they said. Yeah, I mean, so dumb. But anyway, so basically LTRPB ran just exponentially, right? It's actually still up. But look at this. It went from $4 to $134. Like, what? So the volume was 1,000, a couple thousand, a few hundred. No, like, who was buying all this? And you had a big buy of 15, 8, 2, 1, 6,000. Like, no shares were traded. Like 444, and then all of a sudden 345,000 shares were traded. It actually was up 1,200% or 2,300%, and then it came back down and closed at 629%. The very next day, All right, so it closed at 34 and then shot back up to 100, and then it just kept coming back down, and now it's looking bullish again. Well, not really bullish, but you know. But anyway, so majority of us speculated that this stock here would do the same thing, or people would get confused. So we can see that it was $7 before, and if it walks up this beautiful white ladder here, and guess what? We're going to be mighty happy on our return we're going to get, because all that's going to do is going to test right here again. So it'll probably push to, let's see, 150. So this is probably 180. So yeah, probably about 175 to 180 potentially. And then it's going to push off that white line, or it's going to go ahead and push back over our middle 293 area. Okay. And we'll make some money. I got 1,500 shares, I think, currently. I would love for this to pop back up, you know, to say even $3, that would be great. I think 350 there, that would be a great sell point. But yeah, we could swing up. Again, you see how my Bollinger Bands are following what I say. So volume is narrowing, it's changing, it's more stable, okay? And we have the W here. It hit a double bottom, but instead of pushing back up, it's just sort of lagging, okay? So is this a failed attempt at a bullish breakout? Maybe. Or it could just be riding this line. And if that happens, we're going to be very happy, because I'm holding 1,500 shares. And it's like $4,000. I would love to see it just push up. And if it hit this here, I mean, 1,500 times 7, I mean, that's pretty good return to me. You know, that actually probably lock in 50% of what I want to make for the year. That'd be great. So I monitor my own 401k as well. So, but keep these things in mind, right? So I didn't really build any support and resistance here because it's kind of explanatory. And I don't want to clog my chart with a bunch of crap. But if we look here, you can see on the day chart, let's go back to a month. All right, so this stock has only been around since 2015. Yeah, 2014, August 2014. All right. Bollinger Bands, all right, they don't really have a lot to go on here, but it appears that it's just completely going down. The stock is just getting shattered. Is it going to be a penny stock, or what's going on? Let's go back out here. Let's go to the moving averages. All right, so $7 is the, oh boy, that's ugly. See, 229 is the 8, 293 is the 50, and 720 is the 200, and it's just caving down, right? Look at that. Look at this, terrible. But it's funny because it's even a one-day chart. All right, here we go. We got this massive sell-off here. This is the coronavirus, right? This is the coronavirus recession from here to here, okay? And whether or not the stock market is going to do this number right here, that's too small. Let me get the big one again. Dum, 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 dum. So that is actually very possible. Or you could just look at it like this. All right, and that in fact is a bear flag. Now, if this stock goes any lower, obviously I would lose tons of money. That would be, that would suck. But we're not going to lose it because I have stop loss in place. So the market should be good tomorrow, and we'll go ahead and cut loose a handful. Luck and Coffee. This is just going to be a really bad trading day because the price isn't going anywhere. We can look at some news. China Commerce Regulator pays a visit to Luck and Coffee, another Chinese Bitcoin mining device. Blah blah blah. It's relevant. Let's see. Nobody knows anything. Hopefully you were not insanely invested in this. Fortunately for me, I only put $1,500 in it, and currently it's locked up and I can't touch it. But a high of $51. It IPO'd way above that. Way above where it's at now at like 20s. So that's actually kind of what I was hoping for. But again, this W pattern. All right, so you got this massive W pattern right here. 1, 2, 3, boom. Okay, and then it built up. We got this huge peak. So if you would have bought puts on this guy, you would have made a ton of money. All right, until it got locked out, and then you can't get rid of your position. But you got to look for these things because this is classic here. Tilray did that, remember? So stocks like that, you got to watch out for. But support and resistance is important, but you have to understand doing support and resistance on a stock that is just irrelevant or has no purpose. So you look at stuff like Global Water. All right, this is huge. They pay dividend of 2 cents. It's not very much, but the stock price is pretty fair. It's like $10. That's a fairly safe dividend for them not to go out of their way. Groupon's back over $1 finally, and look, they got a trend up here, the $3 range, and now the EMA is crossing over. So we have in fact a bullish move occurring right here, and potentially we're going to go back up. Groupon's trash, they're closing stores. You guys realize closing stores actually makes profit available, okay, to take place, or they can reinvest that money that was being spent elsewhere, like payroll and things like that will be pushed out of the way. So basically we're going to wait to see if it breaks. We'll give it maybe 120. It's 115, so the 50 moving average. See what my Bollinger Bands are showing me. Yeah, again, there you go. So basically we're waiting on a 120 share price break, and I will probably buy 100 or so shares and then just sell some calls against them. But yeah, that's going to conclude support and resistance training and trend lines for the day. Hopefully you guys didn't fall asleep. Hopefully you're paying attention. I did just give you a whole lot of information, including the exact settings I use on my charting. Again, this is Webull. I love Webull because I can just easily, what did the most? There's the most loss for the last closing day. It's the biggest changes. It's 5 o'clock in the morning on the East Coast. So just look at what you're doing. Pay attention to what you're trading, and have a good day, guys. See, how do I stop this? Oh yeah, I got a SPY. I'm short in SPY again. Keeping it minimal. Clearly SPY is not going to go to $135. I mean, anything's possible, but I highly doubt it. There's actually 1,800 open interest on this contract. 1,836. Delta's crap, Gamma's crap, everything's crap on it. But all SPY would have to do is get back to 218 or 215, 220 again, hell, even 240, and this contract would be worth $100, $200, $300. It's just a naked put, no big deal. Very, very low risk. I think I paid $70 for it, maybe. Let's see. Yeah, and then Groupon, I just got some shares, so no big deal. Oh, look, as we speak, 118 on Groupon. All right, cool. So I might be buying some calls soon, or it'll just get rejected by the mid-range. So we'll see what happens. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed.